وصلى الله وسلم على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. اللهم أصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي إليها معادنا واجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير واجعل الموت راحة لنا من كل شر. So who wants to read, inshallah? تفضل.
عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: من نفس عن مؤمن كربة من كرب الدنيا نفس الله عنه كربة من كرب يوم القيامة. ومن يسر على معسر يسر الله عليه في الدنيا والآخرة. ومن ستر مسلما ستره الله في الدنيا والآخرة. والله في عون العبد ما كان العبد. ومن سلك طريقا يلتمس فيه علما سهل الله به طريقا إلى الجنة.
There's no له به. سهل الله له به ولا بس به؟
به. سهل الله به طريقا إلى الجنة. وما اجتمع قوم في بيت من بيوت الله يتلون كتاب الله ويتدارسونه بينهم إلا نزلت عليهم السكينة وغشيتهم الرحمة وحفتهم الملائكة وذكرهم الله في من عنده. ومن بطأ به علما لم يسرع علمه لم يسرع به نسبه.
نسبه. رواه مسلم.
ومن بطأ به عمله.
عمله. Yes. ومن أبطأ به عمله لم يسرع به نسبه. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So in this hadith, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he narrates to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, من نفس عن مؤمن كربة من كرب يوم القيامة كربا من كرب الدنيا نفس الله عنه كربة من كرب يوم القيامة. So first of all, let's talk about the word kurba. A kurba is basically a hardship, an extremely difficult hardship. We learned in a previous hadith, the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, where the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, احفظ الله تجده تجاهك إذا سألت فاسأل الله وإذا استعنت فاستعن بالله واعلم أن الأمة لو اجتمعت لا أن ينفعوك بشيء لم ينفعوك إلا بشيء قد كتبه الله لك. لا احفظ الله يحفظك احفظ الله تجده تجاهك إذا سألت فاسأل الله وإذا استعنت فاستعن بالله. So واعلم أن النصر مع الصبر وأن الفرج مع الكرب. واعلم أن النصر مع الصبر وأن الفرج مع الكرب. So the Prophet ﷺ said that victory comes with sabr. So first of all, let's define sabr, because there's a chain here that's going on. We understand what victory is. I think that's a good translation. Sabr is in order to have sabr, you have to have a difficulty. Like somebody who's just, chilling and having a good time is not considered that he has sabr. Sabr is for somebody who has a hardship, right? So that hardship is needed, or those difficulties are needed in order to have sabr. And when you have sabr, that's how you reach victory. So there's no such thing as victory without sabr. If you didn't require sabr, you're not gonna call it a victory, right? So a victory is needed. Sabr is needed for a victory. وَأَنَّ الْفَرَجَ مَعَ الْكَرْبِ. right? And also, faraj is basically, you know, that feeling that you get when you're lifting something extremely heavy on your shoulders, right? And you're lifting it for a long time. So as soon as you put it down, that feeling that you get is called faraj. And faraj basically is just an opening, right? It's a gap. But this gap is a gap in the difficulty that you're going through. Okay? So karb, or kurbatan min kurab dunya, right? Whoever takes away a kurba, this is that extreme difficulty, right? If you take it away, and the Prophet ﷺ said, nafasa here. Man nafasa an mu'minin kurbatan min kurab dunya. And nafasa is like, you know, like a breather, or it's a relief in a way that it's a breathing, right? A kurba, a difficulty in this world. So if you take away a difficulty from a believer, and notice here he says, an mu'minin, right? So the question is, does that mean that you do not get this blessing if you don't do it for a mu'min, if it's for a Muslim, and he's not a mu'min? Well, that's the thing. You don't know who's a mu'min.
What hadith is that? What hadith number? 24?
36.
Okay, 10.
So, so this kurba that you're taking away from a Muslim, are you getting the same blessings as taking it away from a believer? Yes, because you don't know who's a believer and who's not. Right? At-taqwa hahuna, in the previous hadith where the Prophet ﷺ, he said your taqwa is in your heart. Right? So someone can be a believer and you may not think that he is or she is. Right? So we should assume that every Muslim is a believer. Right? So therefore, in taking away a difficulty from this Muslim, we are in essence, hopefully inshallah, taking away a difficulty from a believer. Therefore, when you take away a difficulty from a believer, Allah takes away this difficulty on the Day of Judgment, or takes away a difficulty from you on the Day of Judgment. من نفس عن مؤمن كربة من كرب الدنيا نفس الله عنه كربة من كرب يوم القيامة. Right? Then Allah takes away a difficulty from you on the Day of Judgment. And that's where it matters. The difficulty of the Day of Judgment. So if we want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take away difficulties from us on the Day of Judgment, then we should take away difficulties from other people. We should help other people. Right? وَمَنْ سَتَرَ مُسْلِمًا سَتَرَهُ اللَّهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. Now this is, subhanallah, all of us have our sins. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. And it's a blessing that Allah has hidden your sins from others. So when your sins are hidden from others, you're not exposed. You're not, like somebody can think, you're a good person because you don't know your sins. Right? So this is a blessing in this dunya. Right? That, like people knew all of my sins might be throwing rocks at me. Right? So, but this is a blessing in this dunya. But it's also a blessing to have this on the Day of Judgment. Because imagine, you have all this sin and that sin and that sin. You go to Allah on the Day of Judgment and you look at your book and those sins are not there. It's just like that feeling that you would get at that moment is just, right? And how do you do that? By covering other people's faults. وَمَنْ سَتَرَ مُسْلِمًا سَتَرَهُ اللَّهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. Right? So this is a very important fact or thing that we fall short in. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. On doing something wrong, and you say, oh yeah, you know, so and so was doing this and that. Oh, it's not backbiting, you know, he was doing it out loud, and you know, no, I mean, may Allah forgive us. I mean, the biggest thing about talking about others that we have to beware of and careful of, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us, is that we have to be so concerned with ourselves that we don't have time to be concerned with others. If you're constantly looking in the mirror, you're constantly looking, you know, is this messed up? Is that messed up? You know, I'm talking about a physical standpoint right now. But if you're constantly looking in the mirror, you're not looking at everybody else's appearance, because you're constantly looking at yourself. Like, okay, I get maybe a better example is if you're constantly looking at your phone, then you're not looking at anybody else. But instead of looking at your phone like you're doing a camera where you're looking at yourself, you're constantly looking at yourself in the camera, then you're not looking at anybody else. You don't have time for that. But if you're constantly looking at everybody else, then you are missing your faults. As they say, like when you're pointing at somebody, you have 3 fingers pointing back at you. Right? So the most important way, or the best way, to not talk about others or to cover other people's faults is to remember your faults. And if we remember our faults, then like you're gonna look at other people's faults and you're like, man, nobody is messed up as me. Nobody is terrible as me. And if you're thinking you're the worst person, then you're not going to be like, oh, that person did that, because you're like, oh man, if only he knows what I did. May Allah forgive us. So to cover your Muslim brother's faults, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cover you in this life and in the next. I mean, think about this for a second. Like, you can even think about this in a transactional standpoint. Like, you might be thinking about a fault that you have, and you're like, man, that's so messed up that I did this. May Allah forgive me. That I'm scared maybe people might know about it, or I'm scared that it's going to be brought up on the day of judgment, right? So now, maybe you're like, oh man, whose faults can I start to cover so I can hold it back, right? The thing is when you deal with this type of issue, is you have to think about it in terms of your relationship with Allah. Okay? So in order for you to be saved, you've got to help save others. You've got to help others. And in helping others, you're really helping yourself. So they say the most religious people are the most selfish. They're the most selfish. But how are they the most selfish? When they're like giving so much sadaqah, they're helping all of these people. But no, they're doing that because it's benefit for them. It's in their best interest to do that. But they're not looking for like you have the satisfaction that you're gonna get right now, which is short. So why would you, like, if you can ask me, oh, should I give you $1 now, or should I give you, $10,000 in 5 years? I don't need the dollar right now. I'll wait 5 years, right? So, I mean, and this is a bad example because $10,000 is nothing compared to Jannah, nothing compared to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has in store for us if we do something good. But what I'm saying is that if that's what we're looking for, the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment, then the things that you get in this world are meaningless. they don't mean anything. So again, covering your brother's faults covers your faults in this life and in the next. وَمَنْ سَتَرَ مُسْلِمًا سَتَرَهُ اللَّهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. Right? Is that right? Did I miss anything? No? وَاللَّهُ فِي عَوْنِ الْعَبْدِ مَا كَانَ الْعَبْدُ فِي عَوْنِ أَخِيهِ. Right? Is that the next part? طيب. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in the assistance of the servant. ما كان العبد في عون أخيه. Now this tense, like as long as his servant is in assistance of others, of his brother. Right? So this tense, ما كان العبد, like so as long as. So think about this. Like if you want Allah to be on your side and helping you, find somebody else to help. If that's what you want, Allah to help you with something, like you're going through a hardship. The righteous people, they used to say, if you're going through financial problems, give sadaqah. Like, whoa, like, how does that make sense? Give sadaqah when I need money? Yeah. Because the same thing applies, is because that you're helping someone, so Allah is helping you as long as you are helping others. Allah is helping you so as long as you are helping your brother. And this shows you how highly in Islam it is that we help each other, that we are there for each other. Right? That brotherhood in Islam, again, it supersedes that blood brotherhood. It is more important than the blood brotherhood. So, so the blessings that come with it are extremely high. And understand your help, right? If you need something from me, right? Let's say, you need me to help you fix your car, for example. So I'm fixing your car. Think about the amount of help that I'm going to give to your car. Okay? And so I'm an engineer. I know cars a little bit, somewhat, right? But am I going to be as good as a mechanic who this is his job? No. So now imagine if a mechanic is helping you on your car. Right? That's more, right? Now imagine that it's a manufacturer, the actual manufacturer that's helping you with the car. That's more, right? So understand that when you're helping someone, it's based on your capability of helping. So how good that help is based on your capability of helping. Is that understood? Allah said, the Lord of the worlds, the one who created the heavens and the earth, that He is helping you, so as long as you are helping your brothers. Do you think Allah's help is the same level as the help that you're giving the other person? No. There's no comparison. Right? So that help is different. So understand that the reward that you're getting for doing something so small, yeah, you might be helping him, I don't know, pick up his bag. You might be helping him by opening the door. Whatever it might be. Right? It might be something extremely small, but that help that you're giving that person, right, is nowhere near the help that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give you. So the reward does not match like what you're actually doing. So therefore, this is one of the best good deeds that you could possibly do. And as a matter of fact, when it comes to helping others, so we talked about the first hadith in this chapter, or in this book, was the hadith of intentions, right? And one of the most important aspects of intentions is to have something called a khafiyya. What is a khafiyya? A khafiyya is to do something, a good deed, that's between you and Allah. Because think about it. Whenever you do something, that's a good deed, right? Most of the time, somebody sees you doing it, right? You can think your intentions are pure, but maybe there might be a small chance that someone is involved in that, someone else is involved in that, right? So the companions, Radwanullahi alayhim, they were extremely big on having khafiyas. I'll when we were going through tafsir, and then I went on to something else and then didn't finish that topic. So don't let one of the Prophet's like it was Ali radiallahu anhu's great grandson. He used to say this dua. من أن تحسن في لوائح العيون علانيتي وتقبح في خفيات العيون سريرتي. So he said, "Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you in making amazingly beautiful, but then to make ugly what the eyes don't see. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you in making ugly what the closed eye, the eyes don't see, in my outward actions." So the companions, they used to always compare themselves. They would compare their actions, their secret actions, to their outward actions. And they wanted their secret actions to always be better than their outward actions. That's why when they used to praise Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, he used to say, Allahumma la tu'akhidni bima yaqulun. Oh Allah, don't hold me accountable for what they're saying. Like they said, oh, he's this and he's that, and they're saying good stuff about him. He says, Ya Allah, don't hold me accountable for what they're saying. Waghfir li, and forgive me for the things that they don't know about. But make me better than what they think I am. Right? This is what Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu used to say when they would praise him. So it was a constant thing that the companions, and when I'm saying the companions, I'm talking about Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. I'm talking about Umar radiallahu anhu. I'm talking about Uthman radiallahu anhu, and Ali, and all of them. They all did this. They all had khafiyat. And as a matter of fact, Abu Bakr, when he was the Khalifa, right? Like he would be busy. You can imagine being the head of state is a very busy thing, right? So there was this family that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu would go to them at night. So Umar radiallahu anhu, he wanted to follow him because he didn't understand where he was going. So he followed him, and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu went into this house. And again, this was when Abu Bakr was the Khalifa, right? The head of state. So out and he leaves. So Umar radiallahu anhu knocks on the door, and then he asks, a lady answers the door. He said, "Who is this man who just left?" And it turns out it was a blind lady. And she said, "Oh yeah, that's just somebody who comes and he cleans my house. He's the Khalifa." It's the Khalifa, right? There was this family who was receiving food, and they were receiving food very often. They were very poor, but they would always get these big bags of food. And they never, the only way that they knew it was Ali, because of the marks on his back from carrying those bags. And they washed his body. That was the only way they knew. And the list goes on. There's a lot of stories like this of the companions that they found out stuff about them after they died because they were keeping it secret. There were companions that would be fasting and nobody knew. There were companions that would be praying all night long. Umar radiallahu anhu, they used to say there was no way he slept because he was walking around at night, right? And he was doing qiyam at night, and during the day he dealt with his state affairs. This is how the companions were. They were constantly doing good deeds, and especially doing good deeds for people secretly, privately. They were constantly and I say that in regards to helping people, because in regards to helping people or being there for you, and it is so much better when you're doing it. It's amazing, and it will. Why else would you be doing that when nobody knows about it? There's no other reason. And that gives you that tuma'nina, that peace inside that you're on the right path, inshallah. Because you're doing something, or Allah bless you to do something that is between you and Him. Right? To the point, some of the companions, they would hide good deeds from their family. A husband from their wife and a wife from their husband. It was very common. Right? Because they wanted to keep it just between them and Allah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with many khafiyat. What's after that? وَمَنْ سَلَكَ طَرِيقًا طَرِيقًا إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. So, whoever takes a path to seek, makes easy a path to Jannah. Whoever takes a path to seek knowledge, Allah makes easy a path to Jannah. Right? There's another hadith that everyone asks for a scholar's forgiveness, even the fish in the sea. Everyone asks for a scholar's forgiveness, even the fish in the sea. The path of seeking knowledge, hopefully that all of us are on. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us to become amongst the people who seek knowledge. Is the path of prophets. Because the prophets did not leave behind, specifically Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but all of the prophets, they didn't leave behind any money nor property. They left behind knowledge. So when you take this knowledge, you're inheriting from the Prophet alayhi salatu wasallam. Like when your father passes away, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve our fathers who are alive and forgive the ones who have passed. When your father passes away, it's the biggest honor to say, oh, I inherited this from my father. It's just like, oh yeah, this is, my father's whatever it is that you inherited, right? And the same thing goes for your mother. This is my mother's that I inherited, right? But how much of an honor is it to say that I inherited from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Because nobody is the best path. And in this path, what you get from going down this path is a path to Jannah. And notice he says a path to Jannah, not Jannah. Because it's not just the knowledge, it's acting on that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ الَّذِي آتَيْنَاهُ آيَاتِنَا فَانْسَلَخَ مِنْهَا فَأَتْبَعَهُ الشَّيْطَانُ فَكَانَ مِنَ الْغَاوِينَ. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about a person from Bani Israel who Allah gave him knowledge, but then he went the wrong way. He did not act on that knowledge. He knows what's right and he didn't act on it. And this is very important for us because the companions were able to act on that hadith. When they would hear an ayah, they would memorize an ayah, they would act on that ayah right away. Right? This is who they come away. We're on it right away. Why? Because it's from Allah. Like the example of alcohol. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of his abundant mercy, he revealed the verses of alcohol in stages, right? Where it wasn't forbidden in the beginning of Islam. In Mecca, some people drank alcohol, right? Even in the beginning stages of Medina, some people drank alcohol, right? But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرُ مِنْ نَفْعِهِمَا. Right? They ask you about alcohol and gambling. Right? Sin is more than the benefit. Right? This is not an outright forbidden. Right? So a lot of people stop drinking. Just because it seems like Allah is saying it's frowned upon. So they stopped. Right? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, don't make salah when you're drunk. I mean, you got to make fajr, dhuhr, asr, maghrib, and isha. So like, when are you going to drink? A lot of the companions, they stopped drinking after that. But then, when the ayah came down, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إنما الخمر والميسر والأنصاب والأزلام رجس من عمل الشيطان فاجتنبوه. Right? When that ayah came down, that it's flat out haram, they said that we can smell the stench of alcohol in the entire city of Medina. Because everybody took their alcohol and they threw it into the streets. They threw it away right away. Right? So this acting on your knowledge as soon as you get it is the sunnah. Right? And then there's this go through that. Right? The problem with that is that Allah is giving you the knowledge and you're saying, I don't want it. Whereas, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, وَقَدْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. He said, say, oh Allah, give me more knowledge. So the fact that it should be amazing, it should be welcome, it should be, because this is the path to Jannah. So if you see that path and you're like, no, I don't want to go that way, I don't want to go that path, that's wrong. Because you're denying, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Which of the favors of your Lord will you deny? So you're denying the best favor from Allah. Right? There is no better favor than knowledge. Does that make sense? So you're denying the best.
Question for that, if I interrupt you.
Yeah, sure.
So, like for example, we have different mazhab for this case, right? Sometimes you have understanding of this mazhab that you follow. There's another opinion is more lenient towards the Prophet of Islam's hadith or saying, knowledge about this. But you say like, no, I'm okay with this, what I have. Is that what you are talking about right now? So you understand what I'm talking about, right? Like say sometimes
This is a different question. But to say, oh, I don't want to hear that. What the Prophet ﷺ said. That's disrespectful to the Prophet ﷺ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, what is it? إن الذين يغضون أصواتهم عند رسول الله أولئك الذين امتحن الله قلوبهم للتقوى. Right? Those who lower their voices to the Prophet ﷺ, Allah has tested their hearts with taqwa. Meaning they have respect for the Prophet ﷺ. Like, how do you have respect for the Prophet ﷺ now when he's not alive? By having respect for his hadith. Right? That is the Prophet ﷺ. That's his legacy, isn't it? So having, you hear somebody saying قال Allah or قال الرسول, everybody should be quiet. Why? Because Allah is talking. The Prophet ﷺ is talking. Do you have something better to say than that? You understand? And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. That if you hear the Quran being recited, then listen, right? So that you may get Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Quran, and you hear the Prophet said this, Allah said this, you say, oh no, I don't want to hear it. How? Now the question is, do you take that opinion or not? That's what we talked about before. The whole goal is that we have to do what's most pleasing to Allah. And every individual has to find exactly how to do that based on their circumstances. Right? The essence here is we're worshiping Allah. We're going, no. It's about Allah. Do you get what I'm saying? What was I talking about just before that? The pursuit of knowledge. Yeah, because ومن سلك طريقا يلتمس فيه علما سهل الله له طريقا إلى الجنة, right? Or سهل الله به طريقا إلى الجنة. Is it له طريق? I said له به. What's the other one? It's just bihi, right? It says له به? Oh, okay. سهل الله له به طريقا إلى الجنة. So Allah gives him a way to Jannah with it. Gives him a way to Jannah with it, meaning the knowledge is giving you that way. Allah gives the knowledge you that way, if that makes sense. وما اجتمع قوم في بيت من بيوت الله يتلون كتاب الله ويتدارسونه بينهم إلا نزلت عليهم السكينة وغشيتهم الرحمة وحفتهم الملائكة وذكرهم الله في من عنده. That any time a people get together in any of Allah's houses. Now, this is a difference of opinion between the scholars, if this is referring to only the masajid or any house. But I think it's, if you want to, but if you want to be vast about it, then it's any house. But I think Allah knows best. You want to remember Allah, period, right? Even if you don't get this reward in another house, right? Meaning a place other than the masjid, even if you don't get this reward, obviously the reward would be extremely high. Where you are remembering Allah's words, يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ, they are reciting Allah's words, وَيَتَدَارَسُونَهُ بَيْنَهُمْ, of Allah's book, right? That anytime that they do that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, نَزَلَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّكِينَةِ, they get tranquility. وَغَشِيَتْهُمُ الرَّحْمَةِ, and they are encompassed with Allah's mercy. Now, we say Allah's mercy very loosely a lot, but what does it mean to have Allah's mercy? Like, what does that mean, that you're getting Allah's mercy? The Prophet ﷺ, he said that no one will enter Jannah except by Allah's mercy. So that is the only way you get to Jannah, is by Allah's mercy. It's not because I did this and I did that. It's not because I'm smart and I have this much knowledge. It's not because I did this worship and I did that worship. It's because Allah gave me mercy. Allah gave me His mercy, so therefore I'm in Jannah. May Allah give us all Jannah. So this mercy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows on us, right, is the best thing we can get. When Laylatul Qadr, when Aisha radiallahu anha, she asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if I know this night is Laylatul Qadr, what's the dua that I should make? Laylatul Qadr is better than 1,000 nights, right? The Prophet ﷺ told her to say, Allahumma innaka afuun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. Oh Allah, you are afu basically means like cleaning the slate. It's not just forgiveness, it's like as if it never happened. Right? Like you are forgiving, but like forgiving where you're like erasing everything. You love to forgive, so therefore erase everything for me. Erase it like it never happened. Right? And that is rahmah. That is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, isn't it? That is the ultimate thing that we need and we want. So therefore, sitting and remembering Allah and learning hadith, learning Quran is how we get Allah's mercy. That's how we get it. And that's where it is. And therefore, that's the path that gives us Jannah. Right? وَغَشِيَتْهُمُ الرَّحْمَةُ وَحَفَّتْهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ, and the angels surround them. Can you imagine angels are like everywhere in this room, bi'idhnillah? And then just around us because we're remembering Allah, because we're talking about Allah, right? وَذَكَرَهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي مَنْ عِنْدَهُ, and Allah remembers them with His angels. Can you imagine Allah talking about us with the angels? Right? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us in these sittings of knowledge. May Allah bless us with knowledge. May Allah bless us with more knowledge. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us and grant us His mercy. وَمَنْ أَبْطَأَ بِهِ عَمَلُهُ لَمْ يُسْرِعْ بِهِ نَسَبُهُ. There was a sheikh that I met. He's from the family of the Prophet ﷺ. And this sheikh, he was persecuted a lot by his government. So I was like very keen to go meet him. It was, alhamdulillah, an amazing blessing that Allah blessed me to meet him and sit with him. So anyways, so I went and I sat with him. And I said, "Ya Sheikh, I heard that you're from the family of the Prophet ﷺ." His response was, "Man abta'a bihi amalu, lam yusri' bihi nasabu." That's what he said. He said this part of the hadith. Okay? Now what does this mean? It means that if your actions hold you back from Jannah, then your heritage, your family, is not going to bring you forward. Okay? That's why the Prophet ﷺ told Fatima radiallahu anha, his daughter, that if you were to steal, I will cut your hand off. Right? He told Fatima this, his daughter. Does that make sense? And this is, unfortunately, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us. Again, brotherhood of Islam is bigger than blood brotherhood. Your Muslim brother comes before your family, unless your family is also Muslim. Then they have an advantage, right? But you have to understand that Islam comes first, before everything else. Before your loyalty to this place, before your loyalty to that place, before your country, your job, the list goes on. Islam comes first, right? Because in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ is even basically talking about his specific family. That if you're not, because this is very obvious, that this applies to the Prophet ﷺ's family as well. So if the Prophet ﷺ's family is doing wrong, doing bad, It's not going to help them to say, oh yeah, the Prophet ﷺ is my great, 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 great grandfather. That's not going to help them. Islam helps you. So it doesn't help you to say, I'm from family so-and-so. It doesn't help you to say, I'm from country so-and-so. I have this passport. That doesn't help. It doesn't help to say, I'm Arab, I'm Pakistani, I'm Indian, None of these things help. They help with nothing. They mean nothing. Wallahi, the only thing that means something is your relationship with Allah. That's it. Everything else will hold you back. And this is something, all of these things that I mentioned, is something called unsuriyah. Unsuriyah is basically the ism. And this ism, it stems from, I have this. It could be money. It could be status. It could be whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. I have this, and because I have this, right, this makes me better than that. Do you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is. And when you have that, that's called unsuriyah. Right? That's that ism. It could be sexism. It could be racism. Right? And the list goes on. We don't have these in English. Countryism. Right? But there is a countryism.
Nationalism.
There you go. Guess we do have it in English. Maybe I just need to learn English.
Tribalism.
Tribalism.
Yeah.
There you go.
Schism, like
All of these are haram. They are haram. Right? It's like there's a lot of people who I've heard say, they say this thing, and I've heard some people say it as a hadith, but then some people say it as like just a saying. Hubbul watan min ad-din. To love my country is a part of my religion.
what is the country?
Yes, and that's the thing, is that your country doesn't matter.
I know the question what the country means.
Yeah, so a
border is made by human being at later generation. Different
Exactly.
generation come up with different.
So if your family doesn't matter,
Yeah,
obviously your country doesn't.
of course.
Yes, tribal, like all those isms, they don't matter. What matters is, what are you doing towards Allah? What are you doing towards Allah? That's it. Nothing else matters. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to get closer to Him. Now, I guess I got a question. What are these things? They seem to be random. Like this hadith seems to mention a lot of random things, doesn't it? Or no? Or are they tied together? Do they?
No, no.
Okay, so let's talk about, what's the first topic?
Relieving distress.
Hardship of
Right, helping your Muslim brother.
Right.
Right? It's basically just the summary of the first topic is helping your Muslim brother, right?
Yes.
And then what's the summary of the second topic?
Covering
The
Well, same thing, Muslim brother, helping your Muslim brother, I would say. Looking out for your Muslim brother maybe is better, huh?
Pursuing knowledge.
And then the second topic is knowledge, seeking knowledge. And then what's the third topic?
Benefit of blessings.
Remember.
Blessings
Zikr,
together.
remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Remembering Allah, but let's keep that with the same thing as knowledge, because
Yeah.
that goes together. Right? And then the third topic is that your family is not going to help you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do these three things have in common? They're all paths to Jannah. Okay. What anybody else?
There are ways to seek Allah's rahmah.
There are ways to seek Allah's mercy. Okay. Anybody else? So I think in general, and Allah knows best, these three topics are, as they are three topics, three different topics. However, I think the tying factor between them is knowledge. Because a person of knowledge understands his relationship with Allah. And when you understand your relationship with Allah, you understand how messed up you are towards Allah. Right? I mean, if you truly understand how amazing your eyes are, for example, like how much technology is in your eyes, and how much of a blessing that Allah has given you in your eyes, then you would stay in sujood and you would never get up again. How dare we do something other than worship Allah when Allah has blessed us with eyes? Right? And then we say, oh yeah, we did something good for Allah. How? How? And that's just one thing. Or actually two things, we got two of them. Right? The list of blessings that Allah has given us is endless. Is endless. So if we think that we did something special for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how? That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. Surely the ones who truly fear Allah are the scholars. Because they understand who Allah is, they understand what Allah has given them, and they understand how messed up they are towards Allah. How can I think that I did something good for Allah? How can I think I'm special towards Allah when I know all the bad things I've done? When I know how, no matter what I did that was good, it's definitely not good enough. Definitely not. Like, I have no doubt about it. It's not good enough. So how can I think I'm good? And then therefore, how can I do something bad to my Muslim brother by exposing his faults, or not helping him, or not being there for him? Right? How can I think I'm better than him when I know who I am? When I see myself in the mirror and I see how ugly I am, how can I talk about somebody else? How? Right? And the same thing goes for, in regards to the last topic about that our family, our heritage, who we are, who we're from, is not going to help us on the Day of Judgment if our actions are not helping us. If our actions are holding us back, our family is not going to bring us forward. Right? So the same thing applies to that. Understanding that's not what's going to help you. Right? There's an Arabic saying, they say, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. No.
He does, but that's like
So, there's an Arabic saying. They say, that it's not the man. It's not meaning like a true man, who says my dad was such and such, but rather it's a man who says, I am this. Right. So, whoever is like standing on the shoulders of their father, their mother, their tribe, their heritage, they're not standing on anything. Right? But if you stand on the Prophet ﷺ's legacy, the Quran and Sunnah, right? There's nothing greater than that. So therefore, tie yourself to this knowledge, the knowledge of this deen. Don't get greatness from money, from family, from whatever it is. Whatever. Anything that you can possibly get, quote unquote, greatness from in this world. Don't get it from that. Get it from the knowledge of this deen. And then therefore, you will be pushed forward. Right? And the actions that come with that knowledge is also important, and that's why he said, if your actions hold you back, then your family is not going to bring you forward. Right? So, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us to be amongst the people of knowledge. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us to continue to increase in knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ used to say every morning, Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a wa rizqan tayyiba wa amalan mutaqabbala. Oh Allah, I ask you for beneficial knowledge and I ask you also from good money, good rizq. As we know, rizq isn't just money. وَعَمَلًا مُتَقَبَّلًا, and actions that are accepted. Prophet ﷺ used to say that every morning. Right? So, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the Prophet ﷺ in Surah Taha, he said, وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. And he's telling this to the most knowledgeable human being. Say, oh Allah, give me more knowledge. To the most knowledgeable person, he's saying, oh Allah, give me more knowledge. Right? So, if the Prophet ﷺ needs more knowledge, obviously we do. So, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with more knowledge. Any questions? What is the next hadith?
إن الله كتب الإحسان.
No. إن الله كتب الإحسان على كل شيء.
إحسانة والسيئات.
Oh, okay. Yes. That's a long hadith. Yeah. I failed in my memorizing which hadith comes next. Yeah, I didn't do so good in that.
So just another question about what we discussed. Like, don't you think that a lot of people benefit to do it in the masjid instead of here? Whomever come for small prayer, if they listen, a small portion of what.
So I'm not against it, doing it in the masjid. The only thing I'm worried about is the people making salah, disturbing them. Because like in a big masjid, like you can kind of go away from the class to pray. Right? But it's kind of difficult in this masjid. That's the only thing that I'm worried about. If it's possible that we can,
Especially the time that we have right now is very nice, to good time. Some people might come just represent now or I mean, prayer time is gonna be, Maghrib will be already out. Like right now it's gonna be 5 is coming, right? So
Yeah.
we'll start at 6:30 to Isha. And we can probably wrap up by 7:30 or 40 that we have Sunnah prayer time for 10 20 minutes. It's just my suggestion. I'm not saying like that's what I would say. A lot of people who benefited. Even one talk from you is very beautiful. It's exactly
you have to understand.
Mhm.
Me, I'm a nobody. Okay.
Yeah, but
No, finish. We have Sheikh Muhammad here, right? So who am I to go up there and give a talk when Sheikh Muhammad is here? I can't do that. That's not okay. I don't know.
Huh?
You're talking about doing.
He's talking about
Inside
doing
the
the class inside the masjid. I
inside the
just don't like that.
Instead of we limited people. I mean, yes, there's a you
can't do
recorded this and that. I mean, if he was doing it, it'll be. I'm not. Let's not talk about him then. Okay, it's gonna. If he was doing this class, if you
No,
are
it's not about
concurrently
he's doing it or not. It's just I don't want to step on his toes. I would not ask that from him.
Can we ask? I mean, I like people to benefit from these things, whatever you have on, I like knowledge.
I understand that, and I don't mind as many people as benefiting as possible. I don't have a problem with that. It's just my issue is
I understand.
the amount of respect I have for Sheikh Muhammad. I have to make sure that that we are like I don't do anything to
He
know.
mind. He
I-
doesn't.
Yes, I probably not, but I still wouldn't ask.
Okay.
Just out of respect, I just won't ask that.
Okay. May Allah reward you.
Barakallah feek.
Jazakallah khairan, what you do.
I have a question.
Yes.
This has to do with the part of the hadith where the one who covers the fault of his brother,
Mm-hmm.
Allah will cover his faults. So, how do we deal with the situation where, which I've seen happen in like Muslim communities, when there's like a public figure that's clearly maybe doing something wrong, and then someone calls them out on that, and then I don't know, is that right for that person to do that because?
Call him out in front of everybody.
Yeah, because
No.
the person would bring harm to, whatever he's doing may bring harm to other people.
So okay, it depends on if what he's doing is for example, if somebody's doing a bid'ah, right, and then therefore it may be making other people do that bid'ah, right? So that type of harm, when it is in a public setting, it should be also negated in a public setting. Does that make sense? But if it's a harm that it's obvious that it's wrong, everybody knows it's wrong, then it's best to pull them aside and tell them that it's.
But like the thing where the whole, like the bid'ah thing, that should be done by a person of knowledge, I'm guessing, right?
100%, yes. Yes. Because obviously you have to be you have to know what you're saying when you're telling someone that they're doing something wrong. So especially if you're giving it in a public setting. But if you don't know, if you don't have knowledge, then that type of case, it's best to pull them aside, and so that there can be a discussion to be had about it. And that if the conclusion is that it's wrong, then that person needs to go up and in front of everybody and say that it's wrong, as opposed to you doing it. If that makes sense.
How to rectify that? Somebody want to say something?
No, we're waiting for you to say something.
Go on, man. That try to tell me not to say.
How to rectify what?
Rectify the mistake that you did previously, like could be, talking about your brother or something.
You have to ask him for forgiveness.
Mhm.
And you have to ask Allah for forgiveness. That is the difficulty about backbiting someone
Yes. It's
or
hard to
exposing
go.
someone's faults,
Right.
is that you don't only need Allah's forgiveness, you also need that person's forgiveness.
That's
Ask
true.
for general forgiveness and not be like.
That's
How do you How do you ask them?
Because somebody might say, "Oh yeah, I forgive you." Generally, I forgive you. But then, if they knew exactly what you said,
You forgive me, brother?
if they knew what you said, yeah, I don't know about that one. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. It's a very sad reality. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from that type of sin.
That's so rampant, though. It's just.
Yeah, just like continuous.
But the way that we stop it is that we stop it ourselves individually. Because also ghiba, backbiting, it's not just the person saying it.
Yeah.
It's also the person that's listening is also backbiting. They're equal in sin.
They are saying this thing, but at the same time they want to prevent the other person, they want to just,
Vent it. Yeah. But that's the thing.
Or exercise.
Yeah, you have to find another way to vent. You can't do it by sinning. I've heard a lot of people tell me like, "Oh, but I just can't keep it in. I can't keep it in, or it's messing me up mentally to keep it in."
Sounds like you problem. I missed it.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that Allah gave us avenues, right? And Allah knows us as humans. He knows what we go through. So He gave us these laws and regulations because it is best for us. Yeah, like for example, a guy who fights all the time, right? If he gets mad, what is he going to do? He's going to start punching people. Can you say that's okay? I need to vent. So I just punched this guy, beat up this guy. No, that doesn't make it okay. You get what I'm saying? So just because that's how you feel you need to vent, doesn't make it okay. What it means is that you have a sickness in your heart that you want to talk about people. And that sickness needs to be cured by understanding where that comes from. Okay? And by the way, talking bad about people, again, that sickness comes from looking at people. You need to be concerned with yourself. If you're constantly looking at others, you're going to constantly find things to say.
No, but if somebody that's wronged you, you talk to somebody else, the person that's wronged you.
But I'm saying, okay, the original thing to talk about somebody else, it comes from this sickness that you're looking at others. But if you think about even that person that wronged you, like think about it, like really, when that person wronged you, okay, but how many people did you wrong? Yeah, if you're constantly looking at how messed up you are, like, how can I say this person is messed up? How? When I know how messed up I am. So that sickness is that you're constantly looking at other people. And this is one issue with social media, where you're constantly looking at this person has that person has this person has that. And the problem with that is that like you're looking at what other people have, but you're not concerned about what you have and what you don't have. So now you're wanting the things that other people have, and now you have things to talk about what this person is doing that, and that person is doing this, and this person is doing that, but you're forgetting about all the things that you did and didn't do. You're forgetting about all the blessings Allah has given you. Like you might be looking at that person's Ferrari, but man, your car has been amazing to you for the past 10 years. Right? It's done everything that you wanted it to do. Right? But you're so fixated on that car that you don't have that you completely forgot about all the blessings Allah gave you. Right? So that's the problem. That sickness of looking at others, that disease that we have, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cure us of this, of constantly worried about what this person is doing, what that person isn't doing, this and that, that's where that comes from, of backbiting and talking about other people's stuff that you shouldn't be talking about. Right? Therefore, like, if you're constantly only thinking about yourself, then you're only talking about yourself and you're talking about Allah. I don't have nothing to talk about for somebody else because I'm not even looking at them in the first place. They don't concern me. You know what I'm saying? And the hadith that we talked about earlier on, maybe like 12 or something like that. Again, I failed in the order here. And when I say I failed, I actually did fail. I'm not making that up. The من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعني. Right? In that hadith of Hassan ibn Ali radiallahu anhu, where the Prophet ﷺ said, it is from the perfect Islam of a person to leave that which does not concern him. So this is the cause of this issue of backbiting and what do you call it? Talking about people's secrets, spreading people's issues, all of that type of stuff, right? This is where that comes from.
Solution is just to look at yourself throughout the day. Don't look at you. I'm not looking at you, man.
So what do you do, like, when someone wrongs you, then I guess you complain to Allah, I guess, about that person. That's probably the only thing that's left to do.
Yeah. I mean, you can also seek justice if there's a way for justice. There's a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that there's going to be a lot of like wrongdoing after me. Like leaders wronging followers. So the companions, they said, what do we do, Ya Rasulullah? Meaning, like, do we revolt against these leaders? The Prophet ﷺ said, do your job towards them, or give them their rights, and ask Allah for your rights. So this applies to anybody that is dealing with somebody above them. Like if you're dealing with somebody who's above you, who's doing you wrong, your job is to do right to them and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you your rights. Right?
Even the current leaders talking about them, their situation, whatever they do, whatever they say, that this hadith concern that talking about them too.
So first of all, our mentality towards our Islamic leaders should be that we hope they become better, because when they become better, they're going to make our ummah better. So that we should be making dua for them. Right? That's the first thing. The second thing is, they do something wrong. Can we talk about it? Can we mention this wrong and that wrong? There's a thin line here. Right? There are some things that it's okay to talk about because it's public, because they made it public, because they're not ashamed of it and they think it's fine. Right? So therefore it's not backbiting because
It's public knowledge.
no, not just that it's public knowledge, that they're okay with it. That it's something that they're doing that they're okay with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So therefore, if you talk about it, they're okay with it. So it's not backbiting because you're talking about
How do you
something.
know for sure that they're okay?
That's the thing. And that's why I'm saying it's a thin line. Right? So there's that type of thing. But then there's the type of thing that, like, if he were to know you said this about him, he's not gonna like it. It's backbiting. Right? So backbiting isn't just that you told the truth. You can tell the truth and backbite.
That's what makes backbiting.
Yes. Buhtan is when you lie. Right?
Right.
I guess if the leaders don't kill you, then you know you're fine.
No.
But what about for non-Muslim leaders? Is it the same thing?
No, the backbiting is for Muslims.
Let's talk about Biden.
Okay, I mean, can we talk about your boss who's not Muslim?
Backbiting is for Muslims. The haramness is for Muslims. But I mean, there's good manners and stuff like that too. But But that's for Muslims.
Good to know that.
Yeah.
No, but then you get into that practice though. If you do that, then you just kind of.
Again, good manners.
Not work too, like sometimes
The,
they
the,
come.
so the hadith من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه, to leave that which is not your business,
Yeah.
is complete.
Right.
Because that applies to
Everything.
everything.
Your
and
whole
everything.
life. Yeah.
Yes.
Because Islam is a way of life.
Yes.
It's a beautiful hadith.
Regarding the remembering Allah in the houses.
Yes.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Pakistan, it's very common. When a family faces some difficult times, they like just call all the family members and their neighbors to come and recite Quran and then make dua. Is it bid'ah or it's just
I mean, as long as you're doing something that the Prophet ﷺ did, I don't see anything wrong with that.
But he never did that though. It's bid'ah because he never did that. Right?
If it be, what? So wait, we never did what?
I mean, gather people in his house to like.
with the neighbors and the other
Read Quran and-
So it's like they sit around and everybody gets assigned a juz and then they call it like a khatma or like they have to do like salah on the prophet a certain number of times.
Okay.
That's in the Indo-Pac only. I don't think it's.
So not. So hold up. So
Oh,
5 minutes for salah.
so I think let's cut this off because my phone is about to die anyways.
Yeah.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. And then